This cognitive dissonance. So, if you're going to argue, try this one for size. You're a mammal. You're only going to be here if your body works. I don't care what the doctor said. I don't care what you believe. And I'm using that phrase, I don't care. We've got to get past that, because that's where you're stuck. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Like what you've been doing so far, you've thought was the best thing to do. You, generic patient. But patently something's not working, because here you are in my clinic. So as you're here, or in my class, perhaps there's more to know. And we need to look after our body, because it is the only way that keeps us on the planet. And, well, actually our Shen does in our Antakarana, but I'm talking to the bottom section at the moment. And it needs a gut to be able to give out good quality blood all the time, to keep our Shen nourished so we're not going mad, to not have that damp thing happening so we are mad. TCM reference. So we are actually doing something very sensible about orderliness, because we need to be in sync with the 24-hour cycle. And that means if you've got somebody who's doing a split shift or something, or who does different shifts all the time, gee, that's going to be hard, because their body doesn't know which way's up. And for me, I'm probably still in the Pacific somewhere, because a couple of days ago I was in Brisbane, and I'll just get here and I'll be taking this whole shooting box back again. So I'm just saying that, you know, it discombobulates us a lot when we're moving around. I have no idea what these people who are international pilots, and particularly the women who are doing this all the time, if they think they're going to get pregnant and they're doing that, good luck. Even going through a couple of different time zones. I know between going New Zealand when it's got daylight saving and Queensland when it doesn't, 2 hours I'm okay, the extra hour I'm not okay. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've got a woman's body, I don't know. So when we're talking to the mammal, okay, there was me with a woman who had anorexia in a time when it wasn't popular and nobody knew about it. And she'd had anorexia all of her life. She was no doubt sexually abused when she was little. And this is when I was mid-20s, which wasn't yesterday. And she was in her 60s at the time. And the way the medical profession were dealing with her was she was having electroconvulsant shock therapy 1 week out of 6, which would have been a bit brutal back then. So I could talk to her about, even if you're lying in bed doing nothing, your body's still utilising energy in order for you to be breathing. So the way it fuels itself is you put petrol in. And so I promised her, I've only done this once, that if she wanted to come and see me, and she'd come all the way from New Zealand to do this, back then. Somebody had found out about me and she'd lobbed in to see her daughter or somebody, and so it happened to be in Brisbane, so there she's seeing Heather Bruce while she's here. Well, she had seen an acupuncturist who was a doctor who was putting in just about all the command points and winding them up every session as well. Hey, look, I'm really fat next to her. And she was taller than me. I know. I'm about 8¼ stone. She was about 6½, and she was taller than me. And she was having shock therapy, and no doubt, I don't know if they graduate it for weight, but good God. So anyway, this poor woman was freaked out about me being an acupuncturist, because she was used to Shen Man, and all of them wound up like crazy by this doctor. This is before dry needling. And that was what she was having done when she wasn't having her shock therapy. Oh dear. Anyway, so I said, well, look, I'm sorry, but if you come to see me, your body is going to kick in here, and you're going to want to be eating, and you're going to be voraciously hungry. I knew about Chiang Mai, and I said, and I'm going to, now, when I talk 8 extras, I don't mean I'm going to couple them up. I very rarely do that. I've got a whole system which you can download as part of the Transformative Healing amazing package. Anyway, here we have Chiang Mai, and to access that, I know you can use stomach 30 and stomach 36, and that together is called the Sea of Nourishment. Sorry, I just had a wee break then because I didn't know I was going to come out with that. And me teaching acupuncture is a long time ago. Okay, so I was putting in stomach 30, and I knew she was going to start wanting to eat. And I knew this was everything that she had squelched all of her life. And so she was going to freak out, because all of a sudden she couldn't control herself, and she was having Marmite, which is the New Zealand equivalent, English equivalent of Vegemite, and lettuce and a slice of tomato, and that's about all she ate. It wasn't keeping body and soul together very well, before we talk about what else was going on for her. She had hardly any voice, which is not hard to understand. She couldn't project it. There was nothing up here. There was nothing. She was skin and bone. So she did start eating, and I said, "I can." Just as I turned it, I can turn it off. And I said, "Now look, I think your goal weight is 9 stone." She was 6.5 stone. For those people in countries like Australia who use kilos, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Even though I've been in kilos for a long time, I'm too old. And so I know that 57 kilos is about 9 stone, roundabout. And good luck. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, my maths isn't on board today. So the thing about this is she did start eating, and she stopped herself at 8.5. Hey, I knew she was going to. But the biggest problem I had was people at home congratulating her on eating. She didn't need anybody to remind her that she was putting weight on. She went back to New Zealand. I've got no idea what happened next. But that's what I'm talking about. If you don't get what Dr. Shen would call the patient's love, see, I could sidestep every other story she'd ever given to herself, because I spoke about the car in the garage and the car going for a drive. Her body is a car. The car might be able to get away with you not putting petrol in it if you were never going to use it again, but this is a living, breathing entity, and it's got to maintain itself, body, heat, all the rest of that. That's our yang qi. See, I'm here in the acupuncture framework, and we've got the yang qi over here, and it's metabolism. And for her to be able to be on the planet, she has to have it functioning. And in order to have a structure, which she had not a lot of, she had to be able to make good yen, which was her body. See, so I take it back to her, and this is the same when I've got sexual abuse. I get right out of all of that psych stuff and into a framework they've never seen before. They can't do the arguments. And I might have to do that right, and make jokes and make it so they understand